I'm going to go ahead and record this meeting this morning so that we can, you'll have it to refresh, go back over and look at later if you need it. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right.
Bob, one quick thing. Is there any way, for some reason, your screen on ours is coming out rather small? We have a hard time reading that piece of paper that you put up there. I don't know if you can make that bigger.
I can make it bigger.
That is bigger.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for saying so. So we're gonna start with warehouse management. I'm gonna be using some applications that we call Agility. This is an Agility screenshot here, and we're going to look at a sales order, and we're going to do some PO receiving to help get some items that we can fulfill with this sales order. We're then going to use some of the received items to make one of your finished goods, and then we're going to go in, and once we make some finished goods, we're going to fill a sales order. So I'm going to use applications that are tailored to specific functions. Rather than just go through a menu-driven system, I have applications that are built to do specific things. All of the WiSys applications are built on current technology with Microsoft, so when you see things, they should look and feel a lot like Microsoft Outlook if you're familiar with that interface. So let's just go ahead and get started if that's okay. I'll go ahead and minimize this. Okay, I have Agility open right now, and you'll notice that it's just a very simple menu. What I'm going to start with is I'm going to take a look at a calendar. And I want to see this month's calendar and how busy we are as a company. So yesterday I booked an order. Now in your company you'd book a couple, hopefully book more orders than I'm booking in a day. But if you get the idea, imagine that the owner or business managers want to walk by someone's desk and say, how are we doing for the day, the week, the month? So just at a glance I can see what orders have been booked and shipped. And if I click on that, it'll show me all the orders below that match that criteria. Let's look at another order status screen, maybe something a customer service person might want to look at. Over here is a filter, and I'm going to filter based on just orders that have been booked. I'll go ahead and click OK. And it's going to reach into Macola and look at all the orders in the system and their status for book status. A book status is an order that's a status of 1 in the system. The order that I'm going to work on today is order 241. Order 241 is made up of a Mighty Pure 16 and some lamps. So there are 12 on order and 24 on order of each of those items. And you'll notice as I scroll across, I can see here different information like quantity to ship is 0 because I don't have any of these items on hand. The nice thing about these grids is if you don't use something, you can just drag it off the grid, or if you want to add something to the grid that makes sense to you personally, you can reach into the database table and get any extra fields you want, or just things out of the Macola database that are important to you. So it's real easy to grab data, look at it, customize the screen, and maybe reduce the amount of paper that you have to print. And maybe another side benefit is everyone is working off the same real-time data. So this area up here allows me to configure what I'm looking at also. You'll notice this is an alert. This is showing me that these orders, based on turning red, are set up to show me any orders that are, quote, late, based on their promise date. So this was promised to go out yesterday. It's going to go out today. So let's work on this order a little bit. Okay. Now, before we get going on that order, I need some material. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to filter based on my PO 120. And I'm going to go ahead and look at purchase order 120. So in purchase order 120, Where is purchase order 120? All right, let me try that a different way. And PO 120, there it is. So here's purchase order 120. If I want to see what's on purchase order 120, I can just open that up. So again, if I'm inquiring as to what's on that PO, I have these three items. Now sitting right here, I can just refresh this screen anytime and get this up-to-date information. So quantity ordered and quantity received are right here. So where receiving happens is out on the floor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my physical gun and we're going to take a look at the gun. Here's the gun right here, and this is me. Good morning. And so what I do on the gun right here is you're going to be able to see it over here. So I'm going to log into the gun, and I'm Joe Bob out there in the shop working on things. You'll notice when I log in, I'm going to select the company that I want to work on. I'm going to uniquely log in as Bob so that every transaction is stamped with my work. If I want to see what's in the warehouse, I can use multi-level item view. And if I want to look at a lamp, it shows me that I've got 0 on hand, a sleeve. I can see, this is kind of where things are and what the status of things are on the gun. Just like looking in Macola, because it is Macola information. So that's multiple level item view. Purchase order receiving is really just as simple as bringing up a simple handheld screen and putting in some data. Now, what I'm going to do is you'll notice right here I have a printer. So as I enter my order, a truck just pulled up, and on that purchase order 120, I'm going to go ahead and do some receiving. And when I do that, it's going to ask me how many labels do I want. And it says 1 label. I could print 2 labels, 3 labels, whatever I need for that package based on how that works. In just a second, I'll get a label. So I've just connected the physical process of receiving, and I just rip off the label, and it just shows me that label right there. I can print anything on that label because it's a crystal report. And so if you want to print your receiver number, maybe if it's connected to a shop order, you could print the shop order number on there if it's needed for that shop order, things like that. So I'll go ahead and receive the next item. And let's go ahead and get the ballast, and I need 48 of those. And finally, the sleeve. Okay, so I'm getting my labels. So here we go. Any questions about PO receiving and label printing?
The quantity, we have to receive the quantity there?
Yeah.
Is that the same thing Chris would be doing today?
Like instead of doing it in the computer, you do it on the thing.
And then it's done.
And it's done.
Okay. So you only have to do it there. But it makes it more mobile, obviously.
Right, very mobile.
What happens with our, like now we print 2 copies of the receiving document?
Yeah, you can. The WiSys document management system could print labels and it could print a receiving document all at the same time. And you can configure that, one document to print on a Zebra printer for labels and another one to print on maybe an 8.5 by 11 for accounting.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. So I went in and I pushed this button for refresh, and quantity received now is completely up to date. You'll notice that if I go back to the gun and I go back to that PO and maybe for whatever reason it shows me quantity remaining is 0. If I need to over-receive, it's going to ask me, it's going to give me some warnings. These can be turned on and off. So you can really try and prevent somebody receiving against the wrong PO or over-receiving, etc. Okay?
Okay.
Now, the fact that I've actually done the receiving is going to allow me to go in and manufacture something. So on the outline today, I'm just going to use a very simple application that we call POP Backfill. And a lot of customers like this, even if you're using shop floor control, which I know you are, sometimes it's just really easy to kit something and build it. So if I need to make some Mighty Pures, I can just scan a barcode that I might have on a sales order, type in a quantity. I'll make 48 of them, and I'll just hit enter. It allows me to pick what document printer I want to use, hit enter, and it shows me immediately the order that was created, released, and reported against. And I just printed a label that went against that too. So just that quick, I can manufacture and have a label for those Mighty Pures. So I can connect again the physical process of manufacturing and that sort of thing. So I just backflushed basically everything on that PO or everything on that POP order. And on shop floor control, if you can do something similar. You'd maybe manually create your shop order, release it, and then go into the gun and you can produce it if you need to. All right, let's continue. I just wanted to talk briefly about cycle counting. With cycle counting, you would go in and run a batch like you normally would. Are you cycle counting today?
We do a few cycle counts. We haven't been, I don't know how great we've been with it.
We want to definitely have the ability to do
Yeah,
it.
oh yeah. We want to get more.
So with WiSys and Macola, you would go into Macola and you would run a batch. And when you create a batch, you can select the items that you want to physically count, or you could even create an empty batch and go out and just shoot stuff and put things into a batch. So there's a couple of ways to do things. But I created a batch with one item on it, and here I would go out and I would scan something, and it basically is asking me to scan that item. So in that case, I'm doing a blind cycle count for a specific item, and it wants to know how many serialized items I'm going to count. So cycle counting is really nothing more than running a batch, and instead of going down and writing things on a piece of paper and then entering that information, you're going to scan it as you go and maybe put a red sticker on things that have been counted. Does that make sense?
So with the POP order, which is really the work order, if you do, let's say, 20 out of 40 in a day, you would notate that 20 in a batch?
You asked me something a little different. You asked me about POP manufacturing.
Yeah.
Whatever you make in POP is going to go into finished good production. Cycle counting is something that you might do daily, weekly, or monthly, or really a full cycle of the warehouse is a physical. So when you want to tighten up your inventory, you use a cycle count to go out and just validate what's in inventory compared to what's on the books.
With the POP, though, is that how you would use it, though? Not, regardless of the batch thing. If you were using the POP order, work order, and you made like 20 in one day, do you scan that back that you did the 20 of the work order?
I'm I'm not understanding how POP is connected to cycle counting.
It's
No,
not.
no,
It's not.
I'm
You said the
saying, I'm
question
saying
on
regardless of what I said before. I'm just curious about the POP. If, you create a work order, you're supposed to make 40, one day you make 20, do you use that, the POP, to notate that you've made those 20, or?
Well, you can, what I would do, let me just go a little deeper. If I go into System Setup, and I go into Users, and I'm going to pick a specific user, Bob, and I'm going to look at the gun, and on the gun, I can actually do more things. So, for instance, if I just want to report production, remember, POP Backfill creates, releases, and reports the order all in one step. If you manually create your POP orders, you would use POP or reporting production, which is very similar to shop floor finished goods reporting. So I'll just add those two icons to the screen, go back to the gun. I'm going to go ahead and log out. And log back in.
This all seems pretty quick on the gun. Is that how quick it's going to be for us when they log on and everything?
Absolutely. Yep. So now notice that on POP, I have POP Backfill, which I used before, but I also have POP Reporting Production. So, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, the gentleman that was talking a minute ago?
It's Dave.
Dave?
Yep.
Dave. So if I had a POP order that I wanted to report against, and I'm just grabbing this one, it would say, this POP order for this bicycle, production of 1. Or maybe let's pick a different one. POP order, this assembly. So these particular items here, these are defaulting to 1 because they're serialized. Let me pick something else that's not serialized. Oh, it is reporting. Let me just grab a different one. There. So it's defaulting to 1 based on setup. If I want to report 20, maybe I report 10 at one time, I can go ahead and do that right here. So if you create your work orders normally ahead of time, you would report production with this application versus doing it all in one step. And that's true for shop order too. I can do shop order finished good reporting. Here's a bike, and it says the quantity you're going to report is 10. And I would just type in 10 that I made 10, and I would get 10 bikes against the 99 remaining.
Right, so the next time you open up that particular order, it would say that you only needed 89 more.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And that does the transactions too.
Yeah, it's just like doing that would be just like going into Macola, into your shop floor application, activity transactions, and reporting finished goods. All mobile with label printing. Okay, so now that I've reported my finished goods, I'm going to go into, and on the outline now, if you look at that outline, I'm going to go down to confirm shipping. So if we look at order management, we have an application here in Agility called Warehouse Management, Pick Management. So when I release the filter against this, it's going to show me all the orders that are in the system, and I can checkbox the ones that I want to work on. You'll notice that our sales order here, sales order 241 that we started up at the beginning on the outline, is for 24 lamps and for 24 lamps and 12 Mighty Pure 16s. You'll notice that I have back-ordered materials. So I've got an alert set up against that, warning me as a shipping manager or as a customer service person, I know that right now these items are back-ordered. Well, you and I know both that we just fulfilled production. So what we can do is we could go through and we could say checkbox everything here, say I want to fill, notice I could fill back orders right here. So I'm just going to check box these two line items, and I'm going to fill this back order. And instead of being read here in just a second, I'm actually doing the transaction in Macola called fill back orders. And you'll notice that because I manufactured some Mighty Pures and I did some PO receiving of those lamps, they're now in stock. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to check these two items, and I'm going to print a pick ticket. So here is a picking document that I'm going to use out on the floor to fulfill that order. It's got a barcode on it, so I just have to scan that order. But notice there are no barcodes for the items. We're going to force the picker to actually shoot and validate the right item against that sales order. So we're going to do some validation. So if I go back to the gun, and I'm going to do the picking application, and one of the things we're going to do is as we actually pick against that order, we're actually going to do the confirm shipping. And that's something that you're not doing today, but really needs to be a discussion about when you actually grab an item off the shelf, we're going to actually move and update inventory right then rather than waiting for it to go through the billing and invoicing cycle, which means everybody in the company is going to be looking at real-time, up-to-date Macola information. So I have my pick ticket in front of me. I scan it. It tells me that I need those two items. So I'm going to go through the warehouse now, and I'm going to go down the particular aisle where that item is, and I'm going to shoot a lamp. Now, I'm shooting it right off the shelf, which means if I have a barcode on that lamp that I got from receiving, then I can use that information downstream to actually validate that I got the right thing. If I were to scan an item that's not on that order, let me just scan something that doesn't belong there, you'll see that I'm validating that, oops, I'm not, getting the right item. So here we go again, doing some validation. And I'm going to actually enter 24. So I've just confirmed shipped 24 against that sales order. And now it jumps down to Mighty Pure, which is the last item on the order. And if I want to, I could clear that. And I could go back and maybe scan that particular item. Mighty Pure. And I need to scan my order again. And I'll get that item. And my quantity is 12, and so I'll enter 12. If I were to enter, say, 13, it comes back and says, you really want to do that? No, you're right, I just want 12. So I've just confirmed shipped those particular things. If I go look at the order status again, and I look at, say, orders that are confirmed shipped only, kind of a radar screen of what's in my system. So I've got these orders that I've been working on, and these two, this particular, if I want to just drill down on this, I can just click shipped, or the order information, and I can actually see that the status is 7, which is a new status for you guys. Most of your orders would be at a pick status until they go through billing and invoicing. So a status 7 refers to a confirmed ship status. So I'm moving through the system now, and if we look at our outline, the information that I have there basically says you would now move that information to your shipping station. However you've done that, you may have a little table or a cart that you're going around the warehouse fulfilling orders, and you would box it up and fulfill that order maybe with Starship and be good to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in our outline down here, you would go through the picking process and finalize the information in Starship, which would update Macola with the shipping tracking information, weight, quantity, and dollars. If we go back to the WiSys application for just a second, and we look at the daily order calendar, and I look at what's happened in the shop today, you can see that I shipped that information. And if I were to drill down on this order, and the tracking information would be updated at the header, I could actually see that tracking information too. Because it would probably go into the shipping instructions right here. So I really have all that information at my fingertips as a manager, as a shipping manager, or as a clerk. I really can drill down on that information in Macola all as we go. That is a quick demo illustrating a potential process that might make sense for you guys. Comments?
This is more of a technical question with all the units. Now, of course, we're using wireless here
Yes.
for this. Is that something that WiSys provides a wireless router, or is that something we're going to have to get? Is there a recommended wireless router that you guys suggest?
Well, typically what a customer does is they would work with Algorithm as your general contractor, and Zach and Mike and people like that over at Algorithm would recommend probably someone to come in and do what's called a site survey.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you from experience, getting commercial grade equipment for your manufacturing and shipping and warehouse is really important. There's nothing worse than giving a guy a handheld computer only to be frustrated that it only connects part of the time. And,
I agree.
you know, you might as well hand the guy a brick. So having a commercial site survey done is probably $1,000, $1,500, and usually those people help you with the equipment, the guns, and things like that. Zach, are you there? Is that what you guys do?
Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about that after the call, David, if you'd like to.
Okay.
Yes, please.
We have a checklist. The gun, if you notice, let me log into the gun real quick. I'd like you to watch this. The gun actually runs on something called terminal server. So when I log into the gun, I want you to watch the splash screen. So when I log in, watch what happens. It's logging in right now. And you'll see it's connecting to the network, and there's Windows 2003 Server terminal services. So if you've ever used Macola from home or a coffee shop or however you do that at your company, remote connections are important. And so a remote connection with WiSys is nothing more than a terminal service or remote desktop. And the nice thing about that technology is when it's in place and working correctly, whether you have a single warehouse or maybe an expanded warehouse across the street or across the country, that can all be accessible with the same guns on that kind of architecture as you grow your business.
We have more than one gun in them, too.
I think they quoted at 3.
Okay. Receiving, you might be doing picking,
Right, you might want one over in manufacturing.
right.
So WiSys is a software company, and we provide software and services and support with Algorithm, and together we work to get a nice solution that works for your company specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I think we got a lot
Good idea.
to, good idea and some things to think about.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I don't have anything right now, but my guess is things will come up.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and save this recording, and I'll send you a link to it.